We're talking Good Behavior season finale, all the things, episode 10, right here on AfterBuzz. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
We're gonna go so white right now. This is it.
I don't know what to do.
I feel like you guys should know exactly what to do.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, that was real. That was the real Olivia. Yo, come on. Okay, we'll all do it.
Was it not
Let's
right
do
then? No, we have to at least go
together.
the same way.
You gotta wave more though. It's slow.
That's how it works. And the reason we're playing this is because it's season finale, and this was the final song that was on Good Behavior as the season concluded and the episode concluded. All the things. Season finale of Good Behavior, episode 10. We finally see a conclusion between Letty, Javier, and what's to come, and maybe what's to be finished, because it honestly felt like the last episode of Good Behavior, I must admit.
That like there's not gonna be a season 2.
I felt that
They could end it like that, yeah.
But they did leave it open. They left it open in an Inception type of way where there was a siren in the background, so we don't know if it's a good ending or a bad ending, but we don't know. I am Tehran, literally I am Tehran, all across the board at I am Tehran. Snapchat, IG, and of course the tweet and the gram. We miss Maddie always, and I'm alongside
Abigail Fraher, literally Abigail Fraher, across all social media.
Yeah, that's exactly. But that's the best way to intro. Make sure people know where to find you.
Yes.
Should I extend the trend? And literally the real OG.
But you're
not literally.
I mean, my name is Olivia, but literally I am the real OG. And you can see all the underscores below.
Here's the thing. Olivia didn't get to watch the episode.
Yeah, she was in a meeting.
Yeah.
But she's here on the panel because you did watch the entire season with
Yeah,
us. And
and
you are going to watch the episode after this show.
I mean, of course I am, but that's why I'm here, so I can find out what happens and hear your input on it. I know, I can't wait to see how this all has concluded.
Well, it concludes in a very interesting way. So for a quick wrap up, what happens is, as you saw in episode 9, Letty basically gives up the philanthropist, which is Javier's code name for his hitman serial killer.
Right.
And the FBI do actually set up a sting. We see Christian has to seduce the FBI agent for them to get the plans. And they end up being an item. So that's one conclusion. We see that Letty does get her son in the proceedings.
She does.
Another conclusion. Because she has fulfilled the FBI's requirement of what she needs to do. The judge in the case happens to be the same judge that originally prosecuted and convicted Letty 5 years ago. So
15.
15 according to Letty.
It was her juvie.
According to
judge,
Letty.
right?
Possibly.
Maybe.
She's no longer a juvie. 15 years ago, she's still not a juvie. Still, so even at this age, they're saying she's 34. So even 15 years ago, she would have been 19, 20.
Yeah.
So then the third conclusion is father's very upset at it and knows that there's some type of foul play but doesn't know exactly what it is, and becomes extremely aggressive to the point that that Letty's mom's husband
I want to talk about that
has to actually step in.
Really?
And so that's third conclusion. So now we know
Rob.
the father doesn't come exactly Rob. And then the last conclusion is Letty tries to get Javier out of the sting setup. The FBI do set him up. She goes there at the last second. It looks like she fails because he goes off. He tells her he knows about what happened between Letty and Sean, and then we see the conclusion. Javier shows up like the knight in shining armor at the end. It's a daytime scene. Everything looks beautiful. They get in the car and drive away on that Range Rover horse into the sunset. Except we hear a siren in the background, so we don't know, does he get caught or not. So that's basically the
bye
gist.
Guys. No.
That's the gist. But there's a lot of things that happen in the episode that we
between.
need to talk about. Exactly. So there's a lot of filling. What did you feel about Sean's aggressive nature?
I'm so glad that he didn't get Jacob, because I know that I was definitely a little more on that bandwagon last week. I was like, he deserves to have him because he's a little more put together. But I wasn't shocked. But I also was way more relieved that he didn't have Jacob. And when Rob stepped in, I love Rob. Like
Rob showed his true colors.
He really stepped up in that moment and was like a boss. He had his gun. He was like he articulated himself very well, and he stood his ground. And I really had to applaud Rob.
If there's one thing I've noticed about Rob throughout the season, it's that he's a genuine guy. What you see is what you get, and although sometimes it's not necessarily like the smartest or the brightest, he's genuine with everything he does, whether it's his love for Letty's mom or whatever it is. So it doesn't surprise me that he stepped up.
When I feel like his responses are always correct, but normally they come out on almost at like an elementary school or middle school level. But,
right.
But even like in his responses now, they were like a grown man handling a situation. So that's
really, he seems more mature.
Yeah.
He definitely matured in this particular
situation.
And I do agree that he's very genuine and sincere, and that's what made Rob such a lovable character, even though you knew that he was a little bit slow and that he was a little immature. But that immaturity was him being him, and he was no one else. And the episode concluded with a very eloquent quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson, which was basically that genuine action tells you who you really are. Mm-hmm. You can tell nothing from conformity, and it was just the way it was written. And there are times where I was bringing up in previous AfterBuzz after shows that I felt like they must have had a really good writer. Remember last week I was like, whoa, that was an amazing line. Well, this was an amazing use of that quote, because it was all about people's genuine actions. And we saw Rob stand up to Sean with a gun, by the way, a shotgun. That Sean knew immediately, hey, this guy's from the country.
And he his whole attitude changed in like 0.5 seconds. He went from angry to, I'm the victim, but I really love my son.
Yeah, of course.
Because his aggressive nature was extremely aggressive. And I didn't like the way they portrayed. Sean went from being this good guy almost to showing once again his genuine nature, this true nature. But it was annoying for me, because it was like, this is the only black character on the show, and all of a sudden he's the abuser. And then he had beat Letty, is what we find out in the courtroom when he becomes aggressive with Letty. And the way that he attacked Letty in last week's episode, and then in this one, he basically attacks the grandmother, and the first thing he says is bitch, like he calls her a bitch for no reason. It's one thing I noticed in the show is just a lack of communication all the way around. There's no effective communication between any of the characters.
And that's amazing, because throughout this season, for as long as we've known Sean, I really was unhappy with Letty, because I felt that she wasn't being fair to him, and I felt like she was being very selfish. But come to find out, her beef with Sean was much deeper than they presented to us as an audience. So,
and understandable now at this point, yeah.
Right. I agree, and I side with her more, and I do think that she's more suitable. Although I don't think that she would be the ultimate parent, I think that she may have been the better option.
I think the grandmother was the best option.
Well, of course,
yeah.
But
she wants to go live her life, I feel like, a little bit too, without,
No,
she wants to be a grandma. I know.
Grandma didn't want to let go. I felt that, and that was another instance, as we saw the grandma be the most emotional we've ever seen. We saw her the most vulnerable she's ever been. Up to this point, she's a very tough cookie, tough grandma, tough woman. And she is a bit of a bitch, but in a very positive way. So in this episode, we see her basically nervous about who's going to get custody. Then we see her hurt because she's like, I've raised this kid. I've put in a lot of effort. And there was a bit of sentimentality when it comes to her picking up. What's
I'm sorry, can we just have a timeout? Did you just make
sentimentality?
Sentimentality?
He calls you out. I'm making up words.
No,
I think you just made up a word.
How do you know that's not a word?
I don't know, but I'm gonna Google it after the show.
Sentimentality. I play Scrabble all the time.
No.
You wanna do what about this? What do you want to do about this?
Just prove you wrong.
What do you want to do about this? This is totally a word that makes sense when I say it. So
can we find that?
Sentimentality is.
James, can you look that up? Is that a word?
If it's not a word, it should be.
Okay.
The tables have
Webster.
turned.
It is. It's a situation where it's actual.
Yeah, you have a definition for it too.
It's
okay. Anyway,
sentiment
she was
and
very
actuality.
sentimental.
I felt like
She expressed a lot of
because it was
sentimentality.
actual. Yeah, there was a definite
it's
feel
not.
of sentimentality. We don't have any. Where's the,
it's not. It's
Where-
not.
I see right there.
Where
It
did
says
it say?
sentimentality.
No, it
is
says
not
you're a
word.
joke.
That's not what it says at all. And she was very vulnerable at this point.
And then like when she went down and like broke everything down into like his socks and him wetting the bed and him being a really soft child and needing his own space and his alone, I don't know.
I could see her character breaking through though, because in the previous episode she was the one that was pushing Letty to fight for custody. Although Letty communicated that she really wanted.
It's not.
Boom.
Nothing even comes up.
It came right
No,
up.
it didn't.
She Googled it and it was like sentimentality. She Googled it and it came up sentimentality. Look, right there. It said sentimentality.
Okay,
Great word.
great.
It says use of this word is genius. That's what it says.
Calm down.
But anyway, she was the one that was pushing Letty to fight for custody, and you could tell that her love for Jacob was real. Although her character comes off kind of tough and mean, her love for Jacob has always been showcased throughout
100%,
the show. Whether it was doing puzzles with him, Scrabble, and then even last episode, Jacob spoke
I'm so
about.
sorry, gentlemen. Do we have any other questions about Tehran's geniusness or no?
But you
Gentlemen?
were unsure. You
I
didn't
was not
even
sure.
know.
I was
You didn't
unsure.
know.
I was
You
like,
were
yes,
not. No,
it is
you
a
were
word.
not. Oh, now you're sure.
Oh, no, I'm so
Now
sorry.
you're
Is it
sure.
a word?
I'm so sorry.
I thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I
On
was just like,
Wikipedia, it is.
no, that's a definition. So no, don't do that. See, you guys, look,
over
you
here.
guys are honestly the biggest haters. You're just haters.
Coming from you.
Haters. I show nothing but love, and that love that I show,
It's like
It's
it's
the
like
same-
Estelle.
love that Estelle has.
Knew it was going to be a fire segue. Are we going to give him his phone?
No, we're just gonna keep it here.
You see what I do? Do you guys see what I deal with here on a good behavior? But talking about phones, it was a great scene when Letty stole the FBI agent's phone.
Yeah.
So they set it up where Christian had to seduce the FBI agent.
That took a lot of courage on Christian's part, I think, to trust her again.
Christian.
I mean, he wanted to get.
He loved it though. Remember, he said it was I would go back and do it again. I loved it.
Yeah.
He loved.
He has nothing
that
to
day.
lose to at this point.
And he enjoyed it. He enjoys being at the rush of being dangerous. It's for him. It's actually living. He lives vicariously, and that's what I realized. He lives vicariously through all of the people he was actually treating. Is that he lives vicariously through them, through their danger, their sense of boldness, something that he felt he lacked. And now he grew a pair. He grew a pair, and he called the FBI agent and had a conversation with her and met up with drinks. They met up for drinks, and he seduces her effectively and boldly. And it was very brave of him.
Yeah.
I can't imagine Christian
And then he got rewarded.
seducing anybody. And
was-
how
it
did
was
he
rough.
get rewarded?
They went home together.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
I
how
see
did he
that
get
type
rewarded?
of reward.
The same way
Okay.
anyone wants to get rewarded. The right way.
Well, and she was actually very vulgar, and it was
She
very,
was.
very interesting and funny. She was vulgar and funny. And Christian at first was like, "I'm not gonna sleep with her," and then at the end, when Letty's mission was successful, Christian was like, "I think I'm gonna stay." And it was just very interesting to watch that interaction because it's like it led to a connection. It led to a connection.
So she was the FBI agent was unaware that all of this
Had
was
no idea.
happening? Even when it was concluded, she didn't know.
Had no
She
idea.
didn't because Letty was slick. She wore the wig, the $8,000 wig that Javier had told her to never wear because it was red. She
Yeah.
dyed it black, and that,
It
there
looked
was a
so-
message.
that was my
in there.
favorite style
She
on
looked
her
amazing.
too. She looked really
amazing.
hot.
She looks way better in wigs than she
Yeah.
does without wigs.
Yeah,
Like keep
100%.
wigs on.
Keep the wigs
She
on.
does. Like that's the thing. But the wig looked amazing on her. More importantly, she used the wig to trick the FBI agent and the agents that had set up Javier. She reaches back and grabs the phone from the purse, and that's where she finds out that Javier is being set up by the FBI. So with that interaction, I was like, wow, Letty's very bold to do this because this is the agent that just busted them.
Right.
And yet she was like, I have to take this chance again.
And it's ironic on the FBI agent's part because she was the one presenting the photos of Letty with a wig and everything else, and then she ended up being tricked
By a wig.
by
Right.
the ultimate thing that she was looking
For, right.
Yeah.
So I liked when Letty was trying to find Javier at the hotel with the receptionist.
what Letty did was she told the receptionist, made up a story and said, I'm looking for my husband and we role play every year and I have to find him. Basically, he's in the hotel under an assumed name and I show up like I'm a...
Like, that's the worst hotel receptionist ever.
I know.
Because she was like, okay.
She's like, okay, let's keep looking. And
But Letty is very convincing.
She is.
And that's the concept, is she's very convincing. And you know what? I actually thought what was interesting about that, and this is what sucks about the world today, is that when I watched that scene, instead of just enjoying that scene, I thought to myself, if Letty was actually Letitia and a black girl, that would have never happened. And I felt that it was like a form of white privilege, and it sucks that I feel that instead of just enjoy the moment, because it was a very cool, fun, totally racially free scene, and because of the world and everything that's happening right now, that was my immediate thought, is that, wow, if she was black, this would have never happened, or it would have never gone this far.
Well, right, because there's certain stigmas attached to certain, well, not stigmas, but like stereotypes attached to like looks, the way someone acts, the way that they present themselves. And just because Letty's a white woman who acts
looks
a certain way, speaks a certain way, and looks. So
she does look the part.
You just automatically assume this is a trustworthy woman that I could really work with right now. However, it's ironic because Letty is not any of those things at all. But the woman still felt comfortable enough to trust her.
And that's actually 100%. Last night, I was at my show at the Laugh Factory, and this couple walks in, and I was like, yeah, you guys go on in. And they turned around and go, does he work here?
Right.
And I'm like, actually, it's my show. So, you guys can just be outside.
I'll see you later.
That's a true story. And it was just very funny. And then I eventually let them in, but I did roast them when I was on stage.
You did?
Of course. You've been to a show, I roast. So it was
Heavily.
fun, but that's the thing. The concept is, the reason why we say things like don't judge a book by its cover is because we constantly judge books
by their covers, right?
Because you would never assume these things about Letty
Or Javier.
But Javier, he's so, even as a serial killer, we do feel that hitmen separate themselves from serial killers because of the way they do it, and we do see very well put together hitmen.
Yeah.
That whole born identity concept, that's a concept where we are in the mainframe of that hitmen are foreign, intelligent, suave,
Yes.
fits that role. Letty, on the other hand, doesn't look like your typical druggy whore. She just doesn't. But
Way to lay it all out.
But that's what it really comes down to.
Yeah.
To the point where when Javier and Letty had sexual intercourse the first time, I'm like, definitely should have used protection, buddy. You know?
Yo, I was thinking that though in the last time that they had sex too.
Of course, because she just had sex with Sean, but they didn't have sex. So if you think about it, he only fingered her. And
Did
that
he
was
though?
Oh my God.
No, really? Okay, because I was
just-
thinking that when that was happening, I was like, that was really quick.
Yeah, no, it was just okay, so what happened
Are
was...
you sure? Are you positive?
That was
Because
what
you
they
saw
showed.
him thrust.
He
He thrusted like 3 times.
I didn't think so. I thought it was just a finger
I don't know.
because his pants never came unbuttoned.
You
They
guys.
did.
I
His
didn't
pants
feel
were
like
down.
They did. I felt like they were just down, but not down.
They
all
were
the way.
down.
I didn't feel like
You know
he
what?
did.
No, it's seriously, the fact that we're talking about it isn't because we're being extra. Like, the scene was really graphic.
It
to
was
the point,
very graphic
actually,
where he licked his
he
fingers.
licked his fingers before he put.
Shut
Yes,
up.
he
Yes,
was like
it was like,
full
okay.
blown.
Because now I was wondering, like, how is it clear?
So Letty
No,
goes to
but
the-
also the reason I'm not sure is because like he was like slightly a little far back. I'm like, oh, he's like packing if this is actually going on.
So-
like
If that's possible.
Yeah.
Hey.
So Letty has to go to the hotel and find Javier because his phone, the burner's gone.
Yeah.
Letty goes to the hotel and basically checks every single room until she finds a pack of gummy bears on the tray outside and knows that's the sign for Javier. So she goes inside, she knocks on the door, goes inside, and attempts to seduce Javier. Javier is not having it at first. But then Letty thinks she's successful when she tries to initiate aggressive behavior because we've seen them interact sexually
Right.
like that before. And apparently Letty likes this kind of sexual behavior, pushes Letty against the wall, and she's like, oh, it's going down, turns her around forcefully, and then licks his fingers and then goes down. And it's like a very graphic scene. And then he goes, who's better, me or Sean?
Oh.
And was like, you
no,
need to
he
go.
Didn't.
That's the other reason I
You
think
need
they
to
had
go.
sex.
That they did have sex?
It's possible. I mean, it was very...
It was like a quickie though.
It was a necessary quickie though.
Yeah.
It wasn't a quickie where...
It was a lesson teaching quickie.
She seemed like she enjoyed it.
And he was just kind of making a point.
It was very sexy, especially if you enjoy that kind of interaction, the subservient interaction, because she like put his hand around her neck. She was trying to elicit that response, and she got it from him, but she wasn't
ready for what he said.
She wasn't aware and was very caught off guard by his accusation, which we all know is a true.
And did she try to defend it, or she was just like, you know what, you're right?
She didn't say anything. There was nothing to be said.
Yeah, all she said is, fine, go kill him and live your life alone. Like, ooh.
Because that's what I was thinking about miscommunication. Letty should have just said at the get-go, hey, I'm sorry, this is what happened.
Right.
And the whole episode, I guess, wouldn't have happened, and it wouldn't have gotten as far as it did, because it went to the point where Javier got off on the floor, and it seemed as if he was just going to walk into the setup and get arrested. Ooh. She just did not explain. She could not.
He didn't even believe her when she told him.
Eventually in the elevator.
She set him up, yeah.
But she could not just explain to him, hey, Javier, this is what happened. Yeah. This is why this happened. I got Jacob back, but I love you, and I don't want to ruin your life. I'm sorry about Sean.
But I think
none of these things.
I think that's also because she never wants to actually take blame for her negative...
For her actions.
Yeah, for
100%.
her actions. You know, she's always ready to blame somebody else. So even this time, she told Christian she didn't know what she was going to tell him. Because she couldn't, like, in her own mind, own up to doing
And she was like, he'll never talk to me, so I can't tell him.
Right.
And the concept is, that's not the point of an apology.
Right.
The point of an apology isn't for you. It's for the person that you've hurt. And she is very unaware when she hurts people. Which, at the end... Her mother says, when you're a mother, you have to be selfless. It's hopefully you'll try it on and it'll look good on you. And that's because she hasn't been selfless up to this point. Even though at the end in the car, Javier specifically says, I trust your mother. And Jacob says, why? She lies. And he says, with her words, yes, but not her actions. Her genuine actions are always good. And that's actually interesting because she does manage to help the people she loves, but she does it all in her own best interest.
Right.
She never does it in their best interest.
And I feel like she didn't really even help Jacob.
She didn't help Jacob. She's not helping Javier.
And the only reason she helped Javier is because she was chasing after Dick. Like, let's be honest. No, seriously.
I feel
for her own like emotional purposes.
Her own, but she loved him. She wasn't
in Javier's best interest.
No.
Okay.
It was
She
for
set
her.
him up.
She wanted him back. And that's why she went after him for herself.
She set him up, and what would have been in Javier's best interest is for as soon as when she saw him, said, hey, Javier, this is what happened, this is what happened. Right. And Javier may or may not have hated her forever, but then he would have never gotten that deep because now the FBI know his face.
Right.
They know what he looks like. They know his basic patterns. That's just eventually going to lead to his demise. There's no other way around it.
And they took the same car he was in at the hotel.
And they took
which
the
was so
exact same
dumb.
car.
Like, they should have just been like, here, Rob, take the black one.
Right. Just switching up the situation.
Because at the end, they give Rob one of the Range Rovers. Javier gives Rob a Range Rover for his VIP service.
Yeah.
And Rob's like,
I don't know. Well, the black looks really VIP, but the silver, it's not going to get us hot in the summer. And
we got to go because obviously this is coming down to a game time decision. Like, right now, I am being chased by the FBI. And it takes Rob a little while because Rob is, as we all know, a little slow and a very kind-hearted person.
Yeah.
And Letty's mother, I forget everyone's name.
Estelle.
She's like, silver. And he's like, what? Because I said so. He's like, you're right.
Silver.
Okay.
And they get in the black one, and you're right. It's the same one that he's had
at the
throughout
hotel.
the FBI chase. By the way, if the FBI is following you, they're taking pictures the whole time. I don't understand why they didn't just take a picture like, oh, hey, isn't that Letty? Let's should investigate this one. What's going on here?
Because she had a wig on, you know?
She did have a wig.
Apparently that tricks the FBI.
Well, it tricks a lot of people. Superman wears glasses and boom, total
he's not
guy.
right.
Yeah, I mean, as we said, a lot of things in this show are unrealistic. In reality, they probably would have been caught a lot sooner.
But this was my favorite episode of this season.
Yeah.
Because it was the most stressful, and also it had actual conclusions.
Oh.
Every other episode did not conclude in any way.
You're right. But also, how ironic was it that the bartender ended up being the person to give her, like, the most clear insight that she's had the whole season?
The bartenders are usually philosophers throughout the history of
But, like,
television and movies.
that was funny to me. I mean, that was
It was
perfect.
ironic.
It was perfect, yeah.
Because alcohol is her downfall,
Right.
but then it's also the bartender's like her
Like, the one
savior.
who basically...
Dawn's light.
Yeah.
It might be a form of poetic justice. It could be, because she also calls Christian right before he's about to take a drink.
Yeah.
And he goes, perfect timing. And it would have been his demise as well. We don't know. Christian seems at the end comfortable with the FBI agent, who's made aware that Javier is free.
Cut away, yeah.
And I do know, in my opinion, I do know that they have to have a suspicion that Letty is with him. They have to. Because why else? What else?
Well, and she's the one that had the information.
Unless
she knew,
they're assuming that she's still back there because of the court date.
They know
But-
about the court date and the completion.
Right,
so
but I mean, they might be thinking that she's now with Jacob, but Sean went and he knows that she wasn't. So maybe that could lead into the next season.
Season 2, if we have one.
If we have one,
If we
but-
don't have
yeah.
one, this would be a very perfect tie-up.
Yeah.
Most shows, if they do get canceled, are unaware of it, and it leaves a very messy, empty void of information. This one tied it up.
Yeah.
And if it did end, we would just have the opinion of, did they get caught or did they not because of the siren?
Right.
But everything else tied up very nicely. It tied up very nicely. It was very interesting.
I was left feeling like,
Well, what
felt
about
good.
Jacob though? Did he express any of his feelings of being in the custody of Letty versus Sean? Or?
well, when Letty came back, she was like, sorry I was gone. He was like, it's okay, I'm used to it.
Oh.
Again.
Because Jacob is that guy.
Yeah.
Jacob,
He's going to throw some shade.
he throws shade, and he did ask, the judge did give Sean holidays,
And
every
2
other
weeks in
holiday,
summer.
and 2 weeks in the summer. Which I don't know if they're on the run, how that's going to happen. But, and where this kid's going to go to school. There's a lot of questions. There's a lot of unanswered questions still. It's still good behavior. But we did see that he was way more accepting of it, especially after Javier's speech.
Yeah. And he loves Javier.
He does love Javier. Javier is a great male role model.
Mm-hmm.
And Rob was a great friend, but not a great male role model.
Right.
Because in a lot of ways, Jacob is more mature than Rob.
In every
Yeah.
way, really.
I could see Jacob relating to Javier more than he would relate to Rob.
That's because Jacob is a future serial killer. Like, if this kid
I
continues
feel like
down
that's
the way,
coming.
Yeah, that's going to be the next season. Like, let me train you how to teach you how to kill people. Oh my
Jacob
God.
is definitely serial killer material. Jacob is the... Remember when you made fun of me when I was 7?
Bang.
He's got like a list going.
No, that's too impersonal.
Stabs him.
Slice them up.
It takes a different person to do that.
Oh my god.
You did such
I
a
wanna
good
ask-
impression.
I want to ask, as girls, when you see these aggressive sex scenes, how do you feel?
I like them.
No, it's okay to like
Yeah.
it.
I don't see anything. Yeah.
I don't want to say I do, but I think I kind of do as well. I would prefer an aggressive one over like a lovey-dovey, sentimental.
There's a time and a
Why,
place.
you don't enjoy sentimentality?
Stop it.
I see
I'm
what you did.
telling you, what did I tell you?
Stop trying to make sentimentality happen.
Scrabble. I told you.
Come on.
You guys don't want to. Didn't Donald Trump get in trouble for that? So listen, here's the thing.
I'm just imitating you.
Here's the thing. Yeah, but
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not mocking you. What was I doing? What did he say he was doing?
I felt like he made a great. I don't want to get into that conversation.
Not again.
Not again. I'm not getting into that conversation again. But what I was referring to is that aggressive nature is interesting, and I'm very okay with it if
If it's warranted and wanted,
Yo,
That's
that's a big
okay.
difference.
it's complete. There is a big difference, and so
If
as
it was
long
a
as
rape,
people
like
don't-
it's hot or it's
different.
rape. Like, you know, there's a very fine
There's
line.
not really any
fine
A very
line.
fine line
Between
of that.
no and no.
And no. Like, no, but like, really get the fuck off me.
No.
It's the tone of the voice.
Crying. Like, yeah, no.
The tone of the voice.
It is a tone. It's
not
a
funny,
way, it's
but-
the 80%, and that's
Yeah.
the fine line. But my problem is, how responsible is it for shows to show this kind of sexual activity, and maybe make it feel towards young women that this is how sex is, to make it feel towards young men that this is how sex interaction is.
I don't think too many young kids are watching the show. Like, Just because I don't know if it would pique their interest in general. Like, aside from the sex scenes, maybe.
You never know, though.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's kind of weird because now that we do find out that Sean was abusive or aggressive toward Letty.
And I think that's why it's an underlying issue, I think.
Right. Maybe that contributes to the way she acts now. But looking back on the last episode, when they did have sex, it was weird that she didn't look uncomfortable. She was allowing it, and knowing their history now, it just seems kind of bizarre to me.
Is it a form of Stockholm syndrome?
I'm not. Yeah. Exactly.
Yes, I know what that is. I do. I know you're giving me those eyes. I can. I know.
I didn't say a word.
I know what you're doing.
I would assume that if anyone knew what Stockholm syndrome was, Abigail, it would be you.
Really?
I just feel like you are a Beauty and the Beast kind of girl. That would have been one of your favorite Disney cartoons to watch.
Don't say that.
Why? It's such a good cartoon.
She looks like she likes Cinderella.
Can we not analyze me through Disney, please?
I don't know about. What was your favorite Disney cartoon?
I'm a Little Mermaid Aladdin guy myself.
Little Mermaid
okay.
Aladdin?
I did like Aladdin a lot.
I can mess with
I did
Jasmine.
like Pocahontas a lot.
Pocahontas.
And I liked Mulan.
And Mulan. Okay.
I like the international characters.
Oh, that's so good.
Now he's
so,
going to analyze you.
No, I understand you liked colonization. That was a factor.
No, it's I like.
Colonization.
No.
You see yourself
I like
as the minority.
Pocahontas.
You like being the minority, and then someone colonizes you. I get that. You have a
Maybe
savior
she-
complex. That's
Maybe.
interesting. Very interesting. What about you, Olivia? What was your favorite?
Disney.
I would say my favorite is probably The Little Mermaid.
Little Mermaid. So you're willing to give up and sacrifice every single thing and your family and your life for a man. That's very interesting.
Not for a man, but
I introduced him.
for Prince Eric.
For love. For love.
no, because
Because
if
that's
I
what
was,
she did.
For a prince. For a
Yeah,
palace.
but I can enjoy as a viewer and not relate on a personal level.
I completely understand. Definitely would.
What
give
were
it
your
all up.
favorite?
My favorite Disney cartoon.
I really want to
Yeah.
just like call you
Bambi.
Jafar right now.
Bambi.
I loved Bambi. Loved it.
Why do you
Bambi.
love Bambi?
You know, because it said it showed that Bambi grew up to be strong despite having a tragic start.
You know what? I'm gonna change my mind. I'm gonna go with Lion
No,
King.
no, no.
You can't change
Oh,
it.
you like Lion King? Oh, okay, that's interesting. That means what did the hyenas want? They just wanted to eat, and the king was like, everyone can eat except for you. So you actually like segregation. Interesting.
It wasn't segregation.
It was.
He was.
The poor hyenas.
He had
What
a
did they
problem
want? What did
because
the
they were
hyenas
going
want? They
after
wanted to
his
eat.
dad because
They
of his
wanted to
uncle.
eat.
I think
They
this
wanted
should be
to
an
eat.
after show.
This
So
should
this is
be.
the thing.
This should be.
So this is
we
the
should.
concept.
We should
We should have an
propose
after
this.
show
What-
called Tehran's Take.
What-
It's just like his take on all this.
I think about this about the world in every way, and I want to know what you guys think that Letty's favorite Disney character would be. Because I'm going to go
Rapunzel?
with Rapunzel.
Yes, because she needs a savior.
Rapunzel
And Javier
wasn't a
comes to her
Disney character,
rescue.
but
Yes, she was.
in
How-
what movie?
Rapunzel.
Sleeping Beauty.
Sleeping Beauty.
no,
Oh my
that's
God.
not.
Yeah.
No. Wait, is it?
It's the same one. And
Rapunzel-
Tangled.
Oh,
Tangled.
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 Hold on.
Tangled.
Rapunzel,
The same stuff.
Rapunzel
Let down
is not
her
Sleeping
hair.
Beauty. She did let down her hair.
But Sleeping Beauty
basically
was
is
in the
Sleeping
castle.
Beauty.
Tangled is
Yeah,
a take
it's
of it.
no, it's the same.
It's a,
It's all they're all the same story though.
with Sleeping Beauty. Mm-hmm. Sleeping Beauty. I think she would be Sleeping Beauty because she would take all the pills and just be out, and then like the seven dwarves hit,
No, that's
my
Snow White.
God.
and then Javier with the prince
That's
that
Snow
killed
White. You're getting all of them
the
mixed up. You don't
prince
know your Disney
at the
movies
end.
enough to analyze
and
them, do
then
you?
have the apple.
But it was a nice try, though.
Maleficent, and then it's all in one. No, I'm doing what
And
you
then
did. They're all
Fantasia.
the same.
Oh.
They're all the same. They're not the same. Okay. They're
Moving
not
on.
the same.
And then
But
she
I do
kissed the
think I do
frog.
think it's interesting to analyze people through what they like, and that's why I think it's interesting to analyze Letty through what she likes. She likes stealing. She likes aggressive sex. She likes alcohol and drugs.
She's not really. She's not a mom.
She sounds like a winner.
And yet she has custody of this child and has latched herself on
To a
to this
hitman.
man. So where do we think Letty's future is going?
Not very far.
I'm torn because it could go two ways. I mean, obviously it could go two ways, but it's gonna go, I think, in extremity in either direction. Like, it's either gonna be her life is great, like Javier still does his crazy stuff, but he now monitors her and she's way more of a wholesome, healthy person, or they just go off a cliff.
And that's a very distinct possibility, the way that their lifestyles are going.
Yeah.
I think she's gonna end up learning a lot more from Jacob than Jacob can learn from her as a mother.
Yeah.
She's gonna have a lot of lessons out of this new family that she created.
And what do we think about Christian and his ending up with the FBI agent?
I think they're gonna stay together.
I was
Yeah.
very happy for
Me
them.
too.
I was happy for Christian. They seemed very comfortable on the couch.
Yeah.
And it was just a very
And she didn't even
cute
seem
scene.
really upset about Javier. She's
They
like,
were
we'll find
watching
him.
Judge Judy.
Yeah.
And it was very, and you're right, she seemed a lot more relaxed now that she had found a certain amount of love and affection. And it was very interesting watching that happen. And it was very quick. Their
Yeah.
comfortable level, it was the next day. This is the longest one night stand of Christian's life.
Well, maybe he hasn't had very many one night stands.
Maybe, but this would be the longest one
longest.
because I think this one's going to last.
No.
How do we think that Javier and Letty are going to last?
I think they thrive off of drama. And I think that if there was no drama in their life, they would become bored with each other and combative.
I think they're just going to become bored altogether because Javier is such a loner and trying to change his life and insert himself into his family, though it's very clear he cares about Jacob and he cares about Letty. He is who he is, and I think that he just, for himself and his personality, he's just going to have to move forward on his own.
Although I feel like Javier, out of the two of them, would be the most okay stopping what he's doing. Like, I think he could get on in life not killing people and be fine. But I think Letty's going to have a really hard time completely not stealing, not getting wasted. At some point, something's going to happen with Jacob as he's growing up that's going to make her want to use again. I mean, you're an addict, you're always going to have those issues. So I think that her being able to change fully is probably not going to happen.
I don't think she's ever going to change fully.
And what is it? There's like it's a really high percentage of addicts that don't, I mean, isn't it like 10 to 20% actually don't ever reuse again? Like, it's a small number.
It's a very small number,
Yeah.
and that's why it's a day-by-day process.
Right.
And we see that process with these meetings, and it's very admirable when people who are drug addicts or alcohol addicts or addicted to anything attempt their best to reform their lives.
Right.
It's not just a social problem, it's a form of a disease.
Right.
And it's very admirable that Letty has changed if she actually wants to change.
Right.
And we do see her still using wine, which is not advocated in any of the Alcoholic Anonymous meetings. But what is advocated is accepting responsibility, something that we still haven't seen Letty do. I do believe that Javier and Letty are a great combination of yin and yang. They will be able to tame one another in such a way and live that fulfilled life through one another and fulfill each other because they project their own weaknesses, and in that they will find strength. And I hope that we see more of this if there's a season 2. But we won't know. We won't know if there's a season 2 until next year.
Yeah.
Some shows have already been renewed. This show hasn't. But that was the season finale. All the things. Any last words?
I was happy with it.
How'd you like the season overall?
I thought it picked up. It warmed up to me, and I ended up liking it more in the end than I did in the beginning. So if there was a season 2, I think I would watch it just to see what happens. Because how long could you possibly be on the run for?
Well, if we know anything from Whitey Bulger, you can be on the run for
I mean,
like
you
7
could,
years.
but they're already
or however long he was.
they're
Right.
really just right behind them.
like 20
So
years, but still. And your idea?
I just said I liked it.
That's it?
I mean, I definitely would be on the panel again if there was a season 2. I would hope that they would maybe reassess their writers and pick and choose more carefully based on the episodes.
I started really liking the show midway through.
Yeah.
And once I was given into that suspension of disbelief, I enjoyed the show thoroughly, and I hope they keep the same writers for the little tidbits that they throw in.
Those were amazing. I think there were
Consistency.
there were 2 or 3 episodes that I was just like,
snoozing.
yeah. But 2 or 3 out of 10 is not bad.
2 or 3 out of 10 is horrible when you're trying to get a season 2, but we'll find out next season. And guess what? The 4 Horsemen will be back on the panel. Thank you guys for watching this season of Good Behavior with us. I am Tehran, literally at I am Tehran, all across social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat. And of course, you can find these 2 lovely ladies.
You can find me at Abigail Fraher across all social media.
And you can hit me up at the real OG, the real _O_G.
And make sure to comment down below, as many of you have. Keep it going, keep it coming. We will see you next season right here at AfterBuzz. You already know
Thanks,
what we do.
guys.
Thank you guys for being part of the team.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.